I recently came across this video from Kim Kardashian talking about how she greatly dislikes firing employees in her companies.
So nobody can build a business or run a business by themselves, so you have to hire people and get people around you from time to time for your businesses. How do you select who you're going to hire, and do you ever have to fire anybody and say, well, you were good but not quite good enough?
Yes, I have a great team and a small team, and the firing's really difficult for me, so I always have someone else do it. It's really, really hard for me, unless it's someone that works in my household and I have a personal relationship with them. Obviously, I would give them the respect to do that.
Kim Kardashian isn't alone. When I've worked with CEOs and business owners over the years, almost all of them consider firing of employees to be the worst thing that they have to do. It's the worst part of the job. Nobody likes to do it. And in fact, some of the business owners hate doing it. They'll delegate it if they can, they'll avoid it. So I wanted to pass on a few tips that I've learned over the years because I also did not enjoy doing firings. I still don't. I don't enjoy terminating employment. But these tips have made it so much easier. First, when you hire employees, make sure the expectation is really clear. Typically, employers create a job description which says what's expected for the job. But what about all the attitude, the approach, and the mindset that a person is expected to show up with at work? That often gets called core values. It's often referenced as the culture of the workplace or the vibe. And that gets set by a lot of intentional thought by the business owner or the CEO. Typically, it's the founder's values that are reflected throughout. So, how do you get these values, which are really loose concepts, somewhere in the heart and mind of the founder, and get them in writing so they're clearly articulated to the employees who are hired? Well, first, one of the best tricks I learned is whenever you have a person who doesn't work out in the company, write down why. That is identifying a core value, or at least a value, often it's core. That's simply saying, that person wouldn't work on our team because of this. And whatever this is, the opposite of it is a core value. In other words, that attitude or that behavior is violating a core value. For example, if you say they're lazy or they don't work hard or they don't have a sense of urgency. All right, well, that means one of our core values is diligence. Maybe it's a sense of urgency, a high degree of care and passion for what we're doing. Try to put language around that. And then you can run it by other people and say, does this sound like what I'm trying to say? It's not easy to put together a list of core values. There are plenty of books that can help with it. But the fundamental thing is you're saying to yourself, what attribute might an employee have that even though that employee is outstanding in every other way, if they have this attribute, they're not going to work out? For example, some people will say if a person is late, they're tardy, they don't show up on time, that's intolerable. Well, then punctuality is probably one of your core values. Other owners might say, I can't stand gossip. Anytime there's gossip going on, it's disrespectful, it's divisive, it causes all sorts of problems. I will not tolerate gossip in the workplace. Well, if that's the case, then that is showing you what one of your core values are. Now, your company might list 5, 6, or 7 core values along with its mission statement, but your hiring process might have more values. It might have more items that are really important to you. And then, once you identify what those are, you want to be clear with employees or prospective job candidates about what they are. Test for that in the hiring process and be looking for that in the interview process. Then make sure that those core values are part of routine reviews with the employees. So they're getting regular feedback on, are they living up to the expectations in those really important areas. Now, yes, at the job reviews, you're going to look at what are their areas of responsibility. Are they doing the job responsibilities that they have? But also reviewing those core values. Because as we discussed, no matter how valuable a person might be, if they violate your core values, they're going to be a constant source of irritation at a minimum, and they might ultimately be undoing what your company is trying to achieve because they are not reflecting your values as a founder, and that is having a ripple effect in every relationship, every conversation, every product they touch, every service they perform. And so ultimately, you as a founder are trying to build a team who will do what you've been doing that made the company successful. And a big part of that is your core values. So write it down, have it part of your onboarding process, have it part of your interview process, review process, and then when you go to terminate somebody, you don't need to bring up a topic that had never been mentioned before. You can say, as we've discussed previously, it's very important that your behavior align with this standard. This is a core value to us. It's very important that you participate in your job at the company in alignment with these values, reflecting these character traits or these character values. And if you don't have those, as you didn't hear, and we discussed those at your review meeting, for the reasons we've discussed, we need to let you go. Now, I actually recommend that the termination meeting be very short. This is a technique I learned from an HR director and a guru at hiring and firing. And she said to me, you never want to have to explain at a termination meeting why somebody is being terminated. You just want to be able to use these magic words, for the reasons we have discussed. In other words, I'm just going to reference what we've talked about at prior events. Maybe it was a review meeting, maybe it was other times. Often, when an employee is having problems, you're talking with them on a weekly basis. It might even be a daily basis about these problems, where you're explaining, here's the standard that is expected, and your performance is falling below that standard. Your performance needs to improve to be at the standard expected in order for you to remain in this role. So that way, when you finally have that termination meeting, it can be quite simple. For the reasons we've discussed, you're not meeting the expectations that are required for this position. We're letting you go. You're effectively terminated. And here's the paperwork. It can be a very short meeting. I have other videos on how to do that conversation. But the takeaway for me that was huge was if you set the expectation in the beginning and you constantly review that expectation and contrast it to an employee's performance, then when the termination meeting comes, it's very quick and it's short. This can be applied for every person in management, every supervisor, every business owner, every president. Anybody who has people directly reporting to them is usually the best person to do that termination. Now, you might have an HR director there as well. You might have a business owner there as well. But these lessons, which I learned the hard way, can be applied to every single management and supervisor role. So, I wish you the best in these takeaways. Identify what are these intangible core values, expectations, or standards that are not related to the job, but rather relate to the attitude, the approach, and the mindset of every person in the company. See if you can write them down, make them really clear in the hiring process, the training and onboarding, and the regular reviews, and ideally mention them, illustrate them, and provide examples in regular team meetings. Somebody once said, only when people are so annoyed because they're hearing about your core values all the time are you actually talking about them enough. Because it takes employees realizing what these are and having them present in their short-term memory to be able to articulate them, and that improves their likelihood of living in alignment with those standards and expectations that you set. By the way, this same principle can be applied to parents with children, nonprofit organizations with volunteers. Anytime you have organizations of people, clarifying what the expectation is, having it regularly part of conversation, and contrasting it when a person isn't in alignment with it, that's a fair and respectful way. It respects the person, it makes it less personable, and it is one of the most effective best practices when managing people. I'm Aaron Hall. I'm an attorney for business owners and entrepreneurial companies. If you find this helpful, you are welcome to sign up for our free emails with videos and other educational information about how to implement best practices in your company to avoid legal problems, expense, and all the trouble that comes from not using best practices. You can learn more at aaronhall.com/free.